Hey folks, Johnny Flyer here, and we're going to continue on with Paint Week.
Alright, so here's step one, and the primer has gone on. Everything looks good. And just to kind of see here, so we've got a good primer coat on this side, same on this side. And we did do a little bit of rust treatment before I started going on this part, just to kind of knock the last of it off. And cosmetically, you can see I am not taping those handles up because it's a pain, and I'm lazy. At least I'm being lazy for this paint process. But what I am doing is I primed it and then scraped it off of that, just using this little screwdriver right here, which has become my all-purpose screwdriver, just to keep that metal clean. And then I will do the same after I have done my coat of white paint on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take time to paint these separately. So base and the ramp pieces 1 and 2 here will get painted in the gray, and then I'll do a base paint of white for this right there, and this wire. And it took a little longer than I expected, primarily because, and this is my own fault, I was using navel jelly to get the rust off of this piece right here, and didn't get it thoroughly cleaned off. And so in the process of painting, I noticed there was some of the paint started to give me a kind of a, not even an orange peel effect, it was more like a crinkle effect, and I attributed that, I assumed, because I didn't thoroughly clean off the navel jelly. So went back, took it all the way back down, cleaned the whole thing back off, and as you can see, our parts are now thoroughly painted and ready for reassembly for the most part. So one thing I do need to still do is I need to get this cleaned up just a little bit. So I've got a little bit of scrubbing with some vinegar and some of our isopropyl alcohol here. We'll get that down just a little bit more, but I'd like to get that more cleaned up before I assemble the whole thing. But essentially every single part has been painted, and you can see here, so this is our, I guess the house portion, or the station building portion of our Mystic Station. And I'm really pleased, by the way, with the colors that I chose. I don't have them sitting right in front of me, so I can't rattle them off to you, but if you want to go back and check the first video, I gave you some colors and some options. As near as I can tell, to the colors that I picked, and I do have a little bit of a yellowish tinge on the colors that you're going to see on the video, because the light that's up here is an incandescent light that is a little bit yellowed. But in my opinion, the colors that I chose are pretty darn good and pretty close. So this is a gray sort of satin finish. This is about the same with the white, and both came with a primer type paint, but they worked out well. I primed this one anyway because I wanted to be absolutely certain that it stuck, and I primed the top and the bottom, painted the top and the bottom. I'm not going to flip it around because this is sitting loose right now and I don't want to scrape across the paint. But as you can see, these parts all separated really nicely, and you probably remember that the undersides of these were looking a little, still a little bit rusted. So we went back through with the wire brush and made sure that it was as cleaned out as we could, primed it, painted it on the top and the bottom. So I mean, this is going to last for a nice long time here. So several years, decades, hopefully, of wear and tear on this that'll go well. So the next step for me is cleaning up our field here, so make sure the magnetic fields is completely cleaned up and at least got as rust-free as we could possibly make it. Then we will reassemble the motor assembly here, complete with the worm, which is over here. And I'm going to put the whole thing back together. I have some detail work that I need to do on this piece and this piece right here. So you may remember that there's some red detailing that goes up around here, just to kind of track along the entire line. So I'll get that detailing done. I'm going to use the airbrush for that because I just don't trust myself with spray paint and tape. I'll do a little bit of minor taping, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep it with the airbrush. I think I can be more accurate with that. And we'll get all that done. We have a roof, or I have a roof coming in shortly that I will treat a little. I'll have to take a separate video, I think, of that, to how to get the video right. The other things I'm missing are, I have some of the windows. They're not in really great shape. I think I'm going to start with brand new windows for the whole thing, where the sliding doors don't count. But
I'll start that. I also have to do an electricity test on our light fixture here and make sure that it actually broadcasts. Make sure it puts out light. And then I also have to check, I think what I want to do with this one in particular is I'm going to start transitioning all of my incandescent lights, at least on the layout, to LED. That's partially because of wear and tear to the equipment, because they do get very hot. But also the amp load that you get off of the LED lights is a little bit lower, and so you will stress the overall electric system that you've got going there. So for me, that's one of the larger, I think it's a 30B transformer. You will stress the overall system just a little bit less. And so I'm going to start transitioning some of these to LED lights. I'm doing the same with some of my trains as well, and I am going to start that out here pretty shortly. So just to recap, so painted this white, painted these gray, painted this white, cleared off the paint with a little bit of just direct scraping on our handles here just to keep it right. Went and did some rust treatment on the outside of this and then repainted that black. It's a little bit glossy, but it doesn't matter because it's going to go in the middle, and I really just wanted to get it covered up with paint so I could kind of mitigate the rust more than anything else. We got our armature. Armature was cleaned up, and that is ready to go back inside of the overall motor. I got a record and a plate to mount it on, which I'm going to put it on here shortly. So the next video I will do with you guys is you should see an entirely constructed Mystic Station with all of this. This will be painted with the red highlights here. This will all be put together. I'll have some red highlights on this one. And the motor will be put back together, and then we'll have the record on the underneath part there. And then maybe, if it, depending on how long it takes me to get all that done, I may have a nice green roof to put on it, which means that the whole thing will be complete, and it'll be ready to go on the brand new table, which is almost done and inbound shortly. Otherwise, we'll put it on the test table just to make sure that it's good to go. But I'm very excited about this. It's a great looking station, and process was a bit of a learning process too for sort of larger scale paint. But you know, just to reinforce, guys, this didn't take a whole lot of know-how, and it certainly didn't take any specialty equipment. Although I'm choosing to use my airbrush for the last step of this, this entire thing was done with readily available kind of this blue, I'm not sure what to call it, but painting tape, painter's tape. And a little bit of know-how with spray paint, so I stayed back, sprayed from a distance to make sure I've got a good solid coating across the entire thing. And as you can see, the end results here are really good. So you can do this. It is within the realm of the possible. But of course, if you don't feel comfortable with it and you'd like to reach out and talk to me or some of the other experts who are online, there's really good ones on YouTube, but lots of good advice can come your way. But this is within your grasp, and you can do it. You just have to kind of commit to the time and the effort that it takes to do it right, and I prefer to do it that way. So having said that, thanks very much, folks. Thanks for watching.